Welcome to Shocking History Photos, where every image has a story, and some were never meant to be seen. The Wild West was full of outlaws, but their most shocking stories came after they died. In this video, we uncover the mysterious deaths of 12 infamous outlaws, and the photos, rumors, and records they tried to bury. Number 12. Billy the Kid. It was July 1881 in Fort Sumner, New Mexico. Billy the Kid, just 21 years old, crept into the home of his friend Pete Maxwell. It was dark. He held a knife and moved cautiously. He sensed someone was there. Then, a gunshot cracked the silence. Sheriff Pat Garrett had been waiting. Billy was shot in the chest and fell to the floor. That's the official story. But what if that wasn't the end? Billy was clever. He escaped from jail, outran gangs, and became a folk hero across Lincoln County. Some saw him as a killer, others as a rebel, but no photo of his dead body was ever released. Then, in 1948, an old man named Brushy Bill Roberts came forward in Texas. He said he was Billy the Kid, and that Garrett shot the wrong man. Brushy knew details only Billy would have known. He walked, talked, and even looked the part. Some believed him, others called it a hoax. This surviving photo of Billy, young, defiant, alive, might be the last image of a man who refused to be caught, even in death. Could Billy the Kid have pulled off one final escape and fooled history itself? Number 11. Wild Bill Hickok. Wild Bill Hickok was a gambler, a gunslinger, and a legend. But in 1876, it wasn't a bullet he fired that made history. It was the one that struck him. He was shot in the back while playing poker in Deadwood, South Dakota. In his hand, aces and eights, the infamous dead man's hand. Jack McCall was blamed, but some say the real killer got away. A photo taken just after the shooting was rumored to show more than playing cards. Some claimed it captured a shadowy figure, a man watching from behind. That photo vanished. Lawmen said it was destroyed. Others believed it was hidden on purpose. Years later, a scratched tintype surfaced. In it, Wild Bill stares forward, and just behind him, a blurred shape, barely visible. Look closely at this image. Some believe it's the man who really pulled the trigger, still lurking in the background. Was McCall just a fall guy? Or was Wild Bill's final photo staged, like the story they told the public? He lived by the gun, but maybe his death, like his legend, was never meant to be clean. Number 10. Calamity Jane. When people talk about women of the Wild West, one name always comes first: Calamity Jane. She rode with soldiers, nursed the sick, and carved her name into a man's world. But in 1903, she was found sick and weak on a train in South Dakota. Pneumonia and years of drinking had finally caught up with her. She died alone, broke, far from the spotlight. Before she passed, Jane often spoke about her love for Wild Bill Hickok. She claimed they were married. Some believed her, others didn't. She even said they had a daughter and wrote about it in her diary. But after she died, most of that diary vanished. Some pages were burned, others just disappeared. Only one page survived, mentioning Hickok, their child, and a photograph. That photo has never been found. Some say it never existed. Others say someone made sure it was never seen. Jane's last wish was to be buried beside Wild Bill, and that's where she rests, in Mount Moriah Cemetery. Her life was wild, but her death, even wilder, and the truth she took with her might be buried just a few pages away. Number 9. Jesse James. Jesse James was one of the most feared outlaws in American history. To some, he was a cold killer. To others, a rebel hero fighting back after the Civil War. Either way, he robbed banks and trains for over a decade, and no one could stop him. Until 1882, Jesse was living under a false name, trying to stay low. One day, while adjusting a picture on the wall, he was shot in the back by Robert Ford, his own gang member, someone he trusted. Ford claimed the reward money, and to prove Jesse was dead, a photo was taken of the body in a coffin. That photo still exists. You can find it today. But here's where the mystery starts. Even with the photo, some people weren't convinced. They said the body didn't look like Jesse. Some claimed Ford staged the whole thing, that Jesse paid him off and disappeared. Over the years, many men appeared claiming to be Jesse James. Some even gave interviews. One man went to court to prove he was Jesse and that the real man in the coffin was a stand-in. Historians mostly agree that Jesse was truly killed that day, but the doubts never fully died. The photo wasn't enough to kill the legend. He's buried in Missouri, but some still say Jesse James got away. Number 8. Bass Reeves. Bass Reeves wasn't an outlaw. He was the law. One of the first black U.S. Marshals west of the Mississippi, he made over 3,000 arrests. He rode alone, used disguises, and hunted outlaws others wouldn't dare chase. Some say he was the real inspiration for the Lone Ranger. After more than 30 years of service, Reeves died in 1910 of natural causes while working as a police officer in Oklahoma. So where's the mystery? It's what happened after. His name, records, and legacy were quietly buried. Some say martial files were destroyed on purpose to erase black lawmen from Wild West history. Only one confirmed photo of Reeves survives. Look at it closely. Faded, scratched, nearly forgotten, but still standing, just like the man himself. For decades, his story was left out of the textbooks, while lesser men were called legends. The photo survived, but just barely. And for a man who brought justice to thousands, the real mystery is why history tried to forget him. Number 7. John Wesley Harden. John Wesley Harden was one of the deadliest men in the Wild West. He claimed to have killed over 20 men. Some say the real number was even higher. He shot his first man at just 15, and violence followed him everywhere. But Harden wasn't reckless. He was smart, dangerous, and bold. He studied law in prison and became a lawyer after serving time. But in 1895, while playing dice in an El Paso saloon, Harden was shot in the back by lawman John Selman. Just like that, the legend ended on a blood-stained floor. Or did it? Before his death, a jailhouse photo was taken. It showed Harden, older, worn down, but still intense. That image was later scratched out and nearly destroyed. No one knows why. Was it shame, revenge, or something more personal? Look closely at the photo that survived, damaged, faded, but still staring back, as if daring us to forget him. Today, Harden lies in El Paso's Concordia Cemetery, but his photo, once nearly erased, still refuses to disappear. Number 6. Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday is remembered as one of the Wild West's most complex characters. A gambler, a gunfighter, and a dentist. He was as dangerous as he was charismatic. His most famous role was as Wyatt Herp's ally during the gunfight at the OK Corral. But Holliday's story is about much more than just that shootout. Holliday had tuberculosis, a disease that would consume him over time. Despite his failing health, he lived hard, traveling from town to town, running from one fight to another. He knew his time was limited, yet he never slowed down. In 1887, Holliday died in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, at just 36 years old. The disease had finally taken its toll, and he passed away quietly in bed. But what came after his death stirred up a mystery. Before he died, Holliday reportedly said something that would be remembered as his last words. Unfortunately, those words were cut out of the photo caption in the official records, leaving behind only the briefest account of his final moments. Was it a deliberate omission? Was it to protect his image? No one really knows. Holliday's final photo, a tired man, frail but still proud, shows the face of a fighter who refused to be forgotten. Today, Doc Holliday rests in Glenwood Springs Cemetery, his name cemented in history. Yet the mystery of his last words and the photo that almost disappeared lingers on. Number 5. Butch Cassidy. Butch Cassidy led the Wild Bunch across the West, robbing banks and trains with legendary precision. But his final chapter, that's where the story unravels. In 1908, Butch and the Sundance Kid were cornered in Bolivia. A shootout followed, and both were presumed dead, but no bodies were ever confirmed. Some believe they escaped. Butch's own sister, Lula Parker Bettenson, swore he visited their family in Utah in 1925. She claimed their father greeted him by name, Leroy. That was Butch's real name, Robert Leroy Parker. Lula wrote about it in her memoir. Historians disagreed, but the rumors never died. Photos surfaced of an older man said to be Butch, but none were ever verified. Officially, he died in Bolivia, but without a body, the legend lives on. And like any great outlaw, Butch Cassidy may have pulled off one last escape into the shadows of history. Number 4. Sundance Kid. The Sundance Kid is forever tied to Butch Cassidy. Together, they were the West's most infamous duo, robbing banks, trains, and vanishing just as fast. In 1908, both men were cornered in Bolivia. After a shootout, they were presumed dead. But unlike Butch, who left behind rumors, claims, and even photos, Sundance left nothing. No verified body, no farewell, just silence. Some say he died in that Bolivian house. Others believe he slipped away, disappearing into the wild and starting over under a new name. There are no known photos of Sundance after 1908, and that absence may be the biggest clue of all. While Butch Cassidy became legend, the Sundance Kid simply vanished, and that may be the most mysterious ending of them all. Number 3. Belle Star. They called her the Bandit Queen. Belle Star wasn't loud like Calamity Jane or quick on the draw like the men she rode with. but she knew how to survive in a world ruled by outlaws. With velvet dresses, feathers in her hat, and a pistol at her side, she controlled her image as carefully as she controlled her gang. She was smart, charming, and dangerous in her own way. Belle had ties with the James Younger gang, and she knew how to move between outlaws and lawmen, always a few steps ahead. But her story ended in the most mysterious way. In 1889, just 2 days before her 42nd birthday, Belle was shot in the back while riding home alone on horseback. No one saw it happen. No one was ever arrested. The suspects, her neighbor, her stepson, even her own son, all were rumored. None were proven. To this day, her murder remains unsolved. Later, a tintype photo believed to be one of her last surfaced, its origins still unclear. Even more curious, parts of her letters and diary went missing. Some say she had written about secret lovers, buried grudges, and hidden truths, but much of it vanished. What little remained hinted at a life far more tangled than anyone knew. Belle Star died in silence, but left behind a trail of questions. A queen among outlaws, whose greatest secret may have been how and why she really died. Number 2. Wyatt Herp. Wyatt Herp is one of the most famous names from the Wild West. He's known for his role in the gunfight at the OK Corral, where he faced off against outlaws and became a symbol of justice. But there's more to his story than just being a lawman. Herp wasn't always the perfect hero. Before he became famous, he was involved in gambling, drinking, and even some shady dealings. Despite his rough past, he became known as a man who stood up for what was right. As Herp grew older, he didn't fade into the shadows. Instead, he became part of Hollywood's version of the Wild West. He worked with filmmakers and even helped shape the image of the tough, fearless cowboy. John Wayne, one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, was said to have based his tough guy persona on Herp. However, after Herp died in 1929, something strange happened. His wife, Josephine, burned many of his personal letters and photos. Why? Some say it was to protect the image of Wyatt Herp as a hero, not revealing anything that could ruin the legend. Herp passed away peacefully in Los Angeles, but there were still mysteries surrounding his death. Even after he died, the stories of the Wild West continued. Only a few photos of Herp survive, but many believe that the real Wyatt Herp was lost in the pages that were burned. We'll never know the full truth, but his legend lives on in the stories and films of the Wild West. Number 1. Tom Horn. Tom Horn was a cowboy, scout, Pinkerton detective, and maybe a killer. He was feared across the West, a man who lived by his own rules. But in 1901, a 14-year-old boy named Willie Nickel was found dead near his family's ranch in Wyoming. Horn was blamed, based mostly on a drunken confession. There were no witnesses, no solid evidence. In 1903, he was hanged in Cheyenne. Some called it justice, others a setup. Was Horn guilty, or was he a convenient scapegoat in a town with powerful enemies? This photo, Horn weaving rope from horsehair in his cell, shows a man who knew the end was coming. Calm, resigned, still dangerous. His story ends at the gallows, but the silence around his death only deepens the mystery. Even now, Tom Horn's name echoes in the West, a reminder of the thin line between justice and revenge. These were 12 of the Wild West's most legendary figures, each with a death as strange as the life that led to it. So what really happened to them? And why are we still chasing answers more than a century later? The Wild West wasn't just wild, it was haunted by secrets, hit like if the truth caught you off guard. Share to keep the legend alive, and subscribe before the next forgotten photo fades for good.